Eve, the gift of companionship. Adam had learned the language of creation. He understood the rhythm of the garden, the way light softened at evening, the way water moved gently through the land, the way animals responded instinctively to care rather than command. Every creature he named revealed something about the wisdom of God. Yet with every name spoken, Adam felt a quiet realization forming within him. None of them were like him. They lived, breathed, moved, but they did not reflect. They did not ask, wonder, or share. Adam could walk among them, tend them, and rule with kindness, yet something essential remained unfulfilled. It was not loneliness, for loneliness requires comparison. It was a deeper awareness, a recognition that relationship could go further than companionship with creation. God observed Adam with understanding. And then God spoke words that reshaped human history. It is not good for man to be alone. This statement did not mean Adam was weak. It meant Adam was relational by design. God himself existed in perfect relationship, and humanity, created in his image, was meant to experience that same depth of connection. Adam needed not an assistant, not a servant, not a reflection of himself, but an equal, someone who could stand beside him and share both responsibility and joy. So God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. This was not fear-induced or forced. Adam surrendered naturally, trusting the God who had given him everything. While Adam slept, creation held its breath. The garden did not change, but something within it prepared to be completed. God took from Adam's side. From where the heart beats. From where life is protected. From where unity is formed. And from Adam's own being, God shaped Eve. Her creation was intentional and intimate. She was not formed from dust again, because she was not meant to stand apart from humanity, she was meant to complete it. Eve carried Adam's likeness, yet she was entirely her own person. Her strength was different, her expression unique, her presence transformative. When Eve opened her eyes, she did not awaken to fear or confusion. She awakened to life already flowing. Awareness filled her gently. She understood before she questioned. She belonged before she spoke. The garden did not overwhelm her, it welcomed her. God stood before her. The same presence Adam had known, the same voice, the same peace. Eve did not have to search for purpose. It was given to her in relationship. She was not created to follow from behind or rule from above, but to walk alongside. Then God brought Eve to Adam. The moment Adam saw her, something ancient and immediate stirred within him. Recognition moved faster than thought. This was not discovery, it was reunion. It felt as though something that had always existed within him now stood before him in living form. Adam spoke words that were not learned, but born. This is now bone of my bones. And flesh of my flesh. These words carried wonder, gratitude, and unity. Eve was not defined by Adam, but Adam recognized himself more fully because of her. Together, they revealed a broader image of God, strength and tenderness, leadership and nurture, logic and intuition woven into harmony. They stood together without shame. There was no fear in their openness. No need to hide. Their vulnerability was safe because nothing within them was broken. Trust flowed freely, between them and toward God. Their love was not based on possession or insecurity, it was rooted in shared identity. God walked with them both. Not as a distant authority, but as a present companion. Conversation was effortless. Obedience was natural. God's command regarding the tree was known, respected, and understood, not as restriction, but as protection. The boundary existed not to tempt them, but to anchor their trust. Adam and Eve learned the garden together. They worked side by side, not competing, not dominating, not fearing inadequacy. Their unity multiplied joy. Laughter filled the air. Silence felt comfortable. Creation flourished because its caretakers were aligned, with each other and with God. This was humanity as it was meant to be. Equality without rivalry. Difference without division. Freedom without fear. Love without shame. Eve was not created second because she was lesser. She was created second because relationship requires another. Adam was not complete without Eve, and Eve was not independent of Adam. Together, they formed the first human bond, marriage rooted in unity, trust, and divine intention. Yet beneath this harmony rested something delicate. Freedom. God did not limit their movement. He did not guard the tree with force. He did not stand watch with suspicion. He trusted them. Love always does. Adam and Eve were free to remain obedient, and free to choose otherwise. Love required that risk. Trust required that space. For now, the garden remained whole. The air remained quiet. The voices remained true. But freedom always invites a question. And soon, that question would be spoken aloud. Adam had named every living creature that passed before him. He had watched strength move through the lion's frame, patience in the ox, freedom in the birds that carved pathways through the sky. Each creature came with its own rhythm, its own instinct, its own pair. And with every name Adam spoke, understanding deepened, not only of the world, but of himself. Yet when the last creature had been named and the garden grew quiet again, Adam stood alone. Not lonely, because loneliness had not yet learned how to speak, but incomplete in a way he could feel without fully understanding. There was no sorrow in this realization, only a gentle awareness that something was missing, something he could not create for himself. God saw it. For the first time since creation began, God spoke words that carried weight in a different way. It is not good for man to be alone. This declaration did not reveal a flaw in Adam. It revealed the heart of God. Creation had been declared good again and again, light, land, sea, sky, life. But humanity was created for relationship, and relationship could not be experienced alone. Adam reflected God's image, but he could not yet experience shared love, mutual understanding, or unity with another who mirrored him. So God chose to create not another creature, but a companion. He caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. This sleep was not exhaustion, it was trust. Adam did not resist it. He did not question it. He surrendered himself fully, unaware that something extraordinary was unfolding. While Adam slept, God worked, not from the dust again, but from Adam himself. From Adam's side, God formed Eve. She was not created from the earth beneath Adam's feet, nor from his head to rule over him. She was taken from his side, close to his heart, equal in value, designed for partnership. Her creation was intimate, intentional, and relational. Eve was not an afterthought. She was the answer. When Eve opened her eyes, she entered a world already prepared to receive her. The garden welcomed her as it had welcomed Adam. Life did not intimidate her. Creation did not threaten her. Like Adam, she belonged. And like Adam, the first being she encountered was God. She did not fear him. She recognized him. Awareness, identity, and purpose flowed into her as naturally as breath. Eve was not born into uncertainty, she was born into belonging. Then God brought her to Adam. Adam's eyes widened, not in surprise, but in recognition deeper than reason. Something within him responded instantly, as if a truth long unspoken had finally found words. This was not merely another being, this was his companion. For the first time, Adam spoke poetry. This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. It was a declaration of unity, not possession. Eve was not Adam's completion because he was incomplete alone, but because together they reflected something fuller. Individually they bore God's image, together they revealed relational love. They stood before each other without shame. There was no fear of judgment, no need for defense, no awareness of exposure. Nakedness carried no vulnerability because nothing was hidden. Their trust in God extended naturally into trust in one another. Love was not something they learned, it was something they lived. God walked with them both. He spoke, and they listened. He delighted, and they rejoiced. Their relationship with God was not built on rules, but on closeness. Obedience did not feel restrictive, it felt protective. The boundary God had placed, the tree they were not to eat from, stood quietly in the garden, not as temptation, but as a reminder that trust was still required. Eve learned the rhythms of the garden alongside Adam. They tended what God had entrusted to them, not as laborers under pressure, but as caretakers filled with purpose. Their work united them. Their joy multiplied because it was shared. This was humanity as it was meant to be. Man and woman, different yet equal. Distinct yet united. Free, yet secure. Loved, yet responsible. Eve did not live under Adam's shadow, nor did Adam exist without Eve's presence. Together they formed the first human community, rooted in love, grounded in trust, centered on God. Yet within this perfection lay the fragile beauty of freedom. Neither Adam nor Eve were forced to obey. Love was real precisely because choice existed. Trust had meaning only because doubt was possible. God did not surround them with walls or watch them with suspicion. He trusted them, fully. And that trust made the garden holy. Eve was not created to fall. Adam was not created to fail. They were created to choose. For now, harmony reigned. The air held no whispers of deception. The garden knew no discord. Adam and Eve lived in the fullness of connection, with God, with each other, and with the world around them. But freedom waits quietly. And soon, a voice would speak, not to command, but to question. And the gift of companionship would stand at the crossroads of humanity's first test. And so Adam and Eve lived in the fullness of a world that asked nothing from them except trust. They walked through the garden in unhurried steps, hands sometimes brushing, sometimes clasped, always certain of belonging. The rivers continued their quiet journey through Eden, and the trees offered their fruit freely, bending under the weight of abundance. Every breath felt safe. Every moment felt complete. God walked with them. Not above them, not distant from them, but near, His presence as natural as the air they breathed. His voice did not compete with other voices, for no other voice yet existed. Truth was clear because nothing had learned how to question it. Adam and Eve did not fear the boundary God had placed in the garden. The forbidden tree stood silently among the others, neither glowing nor threatening, simply waiting. It did not pull at their hearts, because their hearts were already full. They trusted. They trusted God's goodness without needing proof. They trusted His word without seeking alternatives. They trusted that what He had given was enough. There was no hurry to know more, no hunger to become more, no urge to grasp what was not offered. Love rested easily where trust lived. And the garden remained whole. Eve stood beneath the open sky and felt no shadow of doubt. Adam listened to the sounds of creation and heard no discord. Together, they lived in a harmony so complete that it required no defense. This was humanity before suspicion. Before second thoughts. Before the idea that truth might hide something. The world held its breath. Because choice, once given, waits patiently. And freedom, though silent, is never absent. Somewhere within the garden, a voice would soon speak, not loud, not commanding, but curious. A voice that would not deny God outright, but gently bend His words. A voice that would ask a question humanity had never needed to ask before. For now, the evening light softened. God's footsteps faded with the setting sun. And Adam and Eve rested in a peace they did not yet know was fragile. The night settled over Eden. Calm, beautiful, untouched. And temptation waited, quietly learning how to speak.